Hey everybody, Sean Holsinger here from holsingersflyshop.com. Bringing another time video this week. This week it's a dry fly, and it's a coffin fly, which is the spinner version of a green drake. In our area, usually happens right around Memorial Day is when we start seeing the green drakes and can expect to catch them. They'll start out at the bottom of the state, slowly work their way north, and you can follow them clearing across the state, which is pretty cool if you have the time to chase them. Very cool, big mayfly. A lot of fun. Actually, I honestly don't really target them that much. Usually if I am, I'm actually fishing a sulfur whenever the green drakes are coming off. It's a hard hatch to catch it just right. And so I don't really get all excited about it like some other guys do, but they are still fun to tie. Gonna show you a couple things how I prep this before I get into tying it. One thing I'm going to do for the wings, I'm using some Mallard flank feathers, and all I'm going to do is I'm just going to pinch the ends and pull the fluff right off the bottom like you can see there. And this is going to be my spinner wing, so I'll just pinch them down. You'll see it in the video where I pinch them down, make a nice little wing. But the main thing I want to show you beforehand is prepping the tail. I'm using moose mane for the tail and the body on this fly, but for the tail, I'm going to pinch out about 10 pieces or so to make the tail. When you pinch them out like that, they're going to be all different lengths. So what I'm just going to do is I'm going to pinch the ends, the long ends, pull out the shorter, and just keep lining them up while I'm pulling out the fluff on the bottom. And when I get them kind of close to lined up, I'm going to cut the end off the back here. And then I'm going to put them down in my hair stacker, because it's really hard to get them all aligned. So if you get them short where it all fits in your hair stacker, make a couple of slaps on your hair stacker there and they stack right up. So you're going to see this in the end here where I'm going to have nice straight tips. That's how I did it. Just going to keep pulling them out, putting them out to the end until you get them lined up very close. Cut it short so it goes in your hair stacker, and that's a quick way to do the tails on them. So enough about that. Let me get into tying it. This is a very cool fly. Very cool, different body material to use the moose mane here, which gives you a very nice segmented look. Gives you that nice white look, which the coffin fly is. So give it a try, guys. Try it on other mayflies using that moose mane for other mayfly bodies too. It's really cool stuff. I do protect it a little bit with Solarez Bone Dry. You'll see that in the video. I don't want the nice teeth on a wild brown or something tearing that up and unwinding on me. I'd like to get a couple fish out of it. So here you see the fly in the vise and then the material list to tie it. Alright guys, here you see that Coffin Fly Spinner in the vise. Very cool looking pattern with that moose mane. Let's get into tying it. For a hook, I am using a Daiichi 1260. This is a size 10. You could easily do a size 8 in this if you want. It would match great. I don't like to get too big. I find the bigger I get, the harder it is for some of the smaller trout to suck it in. So I tend to err to the side of small all the time on these. Gonna start my thread, wrap it back here to the bend for the tail. Now I showed you in the opening there how I make my tail, and I got those all stacked up here in my hair stacker, so I'm just gonna pinch them out there, and we're gonna lay that right down on top. Now for my tail, I want my tail to be just about the length of the hook. This has a little bit of a longer tail. So we're just going to put that on back there. And we're going to wrap that forward. Now I'm going to use this to build up just a little bit of a body because this is a larger fly. So with the larger fly is going to come a larger abdomen, but I don't want it too thick. So really that's all I want to build it up. So we're going to trim them off there. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to come back here to the tail again, and we're going to put our abdomen on. For that, I'm gonna go back to my moose mane. I'm gonna pick out two white ones and one black. And I'll show you here in 1 second. There's my two whites. Now, I have more blacks on the back side here, so I'm gonna pick out one black fiber, hair fiber, and I'm just going to put all the tips together and tie this in by the tip. If I can pick it up off my vise. Okay, so now I got the tips all pointed together here. I'm just going to trim them down a little bit, make it a little easier to work with. Tie them on the side and wrap it back there again to my tail. Now I want to make a nice even wrap here with my body on my under thread. And if I need to, like here, I'm going to build up just a little bit because I want this about that far. There we go. I want about a third of the way back is where I want to build my wing part at. So up into there, I want it nice and even, tapering bigger a little bit towards the front. Then we're just going to start wrapping this forward. And as I do it, I want to take my thumbnail, push them together, keep these nice and tight together. Now, I got one that's a little bit darker. It'll show through here in a second. There's my white coming through. That's fine. I'm getting a mainly white body. And even, it doesn't have to be, your black one doesn't have to be in the middle because mine's on the outside here and you can see I'm just not overlapping it. So I get that nice segmented body look to it. If you need to, give it a little push with your thumb to tighten them up like that. And just continue to wrap these forward until you get up there to where I have the thread. Once we're up there, we're just going to tie it off. Okay, you see I got the nice segments there. Now, I'm going to take a little bit of Solarez Bone Dry here and protect this. I'm just going to make a nice thin coat all the way around. And that's going to protect that from, anytime a fish bites on it, it's going to be less likely to hit one of those hair strands and bust it loose and have it come unwound. Next thing I want to do, I'm going to bring my thread up there to the eye and come back with it so it just grips on a little bit better. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to put the wings on. Now, I showed you how I pulled the fluff off of a mallard flank feather. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure, I want it about the length of the body and I want it to stick out the side. So I'm going to tie it on top here, sticking out the side. And I'm just going to figure eight it a couple times. And then I'm going to go around that feather. And by going around it, oops, unwound. It just makes for a nicer, tighter feather. And then just wrap it in place there. Once we get that wrapped in place, see this, what I want here is I want this feather, as you see, I want it laying straight off the hook shank. I'm going to trim these down because I don't like these stray ones. And then we're going to trim that off, and I'm going to do my other side. Now I'm going to put one on the other side, do the exact same thing. And again, tie these on top, figure eight it in place. And remember now, we're imitating a dead fly here laying on top of the water. This doesn't have to be real pretty, because we're imitating something that's dead. Death isn't pretty. So there you see now I got my wings lying flat both sides on the fly here. Now we're going to come in with our hackle. For our hackle, I'm using a piece of Grizzly and a piece of brown, which is going to give me a two-tone look. Okay, so we're just going to take our 2 hackles, I'm going to tie them on top, back to back, and just wrap them down nice, and have a nice even level place here for my hackles to wrap around on the body. Then we're just going to pinch those together and start palmering them forward. Now, you could do a Cree if you want, or a dark barred ginger. That would work great instead of using a brown and a ginger, but if you don't have them, brown and ginger do the exact same thing. So I'm going to figure 8 over that wing once or twice, and then I'm going to pull my fibers back up here at the head and wrap that right up to the eye. And once I get up to the eye, we're going to tie it off. Now when I do dry flies, a lot of times when I do dry flies, I like to take a pen and do a half hitch with the pen, which is laying right here. So I'll just take 1 wrap around the pen, slide it up over the eye, and I'll do about 5 of these. Sometimes I'll make 2 wraps around, but if I get about 5 of these wraps on there, 5 of these half hitch knots, that's equal to 1 good whip finish. So it's a lot easier, I can control it a lot better and push those fibers back. So there I got my hackle now on this. I'm going to pull these wings where I want them so they're nice and level. Well, the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come in on the bottom and I'm going to trim off the hackle on the bottom. So when this hits the water, it's going to lay nice and flat on those wings, which is the way I want it to look. I want it to have this nice dead laying on the water look. So just trim off the under hackle there, you see, and it's going to lay nice and high on the water. So it's going to lay right like that on the water and be a nice spinner for you. Alright guys, hope you liked that video. It's a very cool hatch if you get the opportunity to fish it. The size of this fly added with the number of them, it only hatches in our area. The hatch only lasts for 3 days. So in 3 days, all the green drakes get up in the air. So, you know, it can make clouds that can darken out the sky. There can be that many of them. If the hatch happens and it all happens perfectly, you know, if all the stars align, it's a really cool hatch to be a part of. Like I said though, I oftentimes during the hatch find that the trout are keying on other insects, especially the sulfurs, which are hatching that time of year too. So I don't always go for the green drakes because it's a bigger fly. Some of the smaller fish can't fit them in their mouth, and I just do better on other flies. So that's why I don't concentrate on it as much. Some guys love it and will follow them clear across the state, and good for them. You know, I enjoy seeing them, and that's about it for me. So anyway, guys, have fun tying, experiment with things, play around with moose mane, see what other flies you like to tie with moose mane. It makes a very cool body, and have fun. It's a cool looking fly. So until next week, guys, when I bring you another video, head on over to our website for any of the materials you need to tie this or any other fly, and we'll see you next week. I'm Sean Holsinger.